welcome to Gaga Knits. My name's Anita and I live in South Wales in the UK, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Anita Bulb, and show notes can be found in the description box below. I hope you've had a nice few weeks since we spoke last. As you can hear, I am full of cold. I've got another cold, I can't believe it. There are 8 people in my office, and since November I don't think there's been a day where one or other of us hasn't been ill, and we keep bringing it in and passing it on to each other. So it's probably not the best day to record health-wise, but it's such a lovely day out there. It's sunny and bright, and I thought it was the perfect day to record because of the light, but not necessarily because of my voice. So if there's lots of editing, it's me cutting to cough, sniff, blow my nose, or any of the other things you need to do when you've got a cold. So anyway, let's get on with the knitting. As you probably know, if you've watched my podcast before, I was following along with Angela from Yarn and Yarns, who was doing 12 cast-ons of Christmas, except mine were 12 projects of Christmas. Some things I'd already cast on, and some things I didn't cast on, but I got them ready in project bags with the right yarns and patterns. So anyway, out of the 12, I have already done 4. So I'm quite pleased with myself. The first finished object was the little jumper that I was knitting for Jack, and he's already had that, so I recorded a little section early on in the month just to show you that, so I shall insert that here. Here I am, Anita from the past, here to show you my first finished project for 2020, and it's Jack's little jumper. Yay! I'm really pleased with it. It's so cute. I have just finished sewing the last few buttons on, and it's all ready for him to have. He'll have it on Sunday, so I thought I'd better show you before it's whisked away, and I'll try and get a little photo of it to put in as well so you can see how well it fits. Well, hopefully it will fit well. And the pattern I based the jumper on was this one, just for the sizing. And the yarn I used was the Magi-knit Baby DK from James C Brett. I bought it at a craft fair in Saundersfoot, where the lady had a craft stall, and she had loads of lovely things that she'd made, and she had made a little baby jumper out of that yarn, and I liked it so much I wanted to do that, but she didn't have the pattern, and she said just use any baby pattern, and it was really hard to find a simple basic baby jumper with no cabling or anything, just a basic jumper, hence why I ended up using that pattern. And this yarn is, the shade is Y208 if anyone's interested. It's lovely and soft. It's 90% acrylic and 10% nylon, because for babies I like that you're able just to throw it in the washing machine and not worry about it. And the buttons I used on the neck are these, and these were from the lady whose pattern, if you remember, I said that this pattern was from a friend in work's mum passed away, and he gave me all her crafty items. So I had buttons as well as patterns and yarn. And these are Winfield. It looks a bit like a Woolworths sign, but I don't know if they were part of Woolworths. And it was 9p for 8 buttons, and it says on the bottom they were imported, but I don't know from where. So I've used 4, and 1 must have been used by somebody else. But I thought that was a perfect colour against the jumper. So I'm very pleased with that. 1 down, 11 to go. And I can't actually remember what I told you, but it was a lovely pattern. It was so nice to follow. It was nice to knit in the flat for a change, and that's the sort of pattern that I grew up knitting, so it was much easier for me, and the yarn was so soft and lovely. It was really nice, and one of my other finished objects I knitted out of the same yarn, and here it is the baby pixie hat, and my friend in work's expecting, and she asked for one of these because I made one of these when she had her daughter. She doesn't know whether she's having a boy or a girl, so obviously this is for a boy, but if she has a girl, she's already got a pink one, and I can make, I'll probably make a few things for her and then she can choose. And Jodie always knows plenty of people who are having babies, so this will go to a good home if my friend in work doesn't have it. And it's really lovely and soft, and I just love this yarn, the way it patterns up, looks really cute. It's got the little top knot on. And of course I knitted her a pair of the little baby socks, and that was from, well, I say it's my favourite baby sock pattern, but it's the only baby socks I've ever knitted, but it is such a simple pattern and I thought they went quite nicely with the hat. So they're the two things she's requested, so I've done those. So that's 3 of the knitting projects, and my last are the Party Bunting Socks by Zoe from Pins and Needles. These were my Christmas Eve cast on, and I have finished the both of them. I was sewing all the ends in this morning, and I did drop a stitch from one of these ridges, so I had to pick that up and sew that in securely. It is such a nice pattern to knit. Sometimes when I read a pattern, I'm not quite sure what, there's sort of 2 ways you could take the instructions, but Zoe was so clear because she would put the exact stitch count you should be at and things afterwards, so they were really nice to knit. The only thing I found, this ridge here, the way you have to knit it together does make the sock quite tight to get past that bit, but I'm hoping it will loosen up with time. And it's such a nice fit. I did the 56 stitch version, which was the smallest one, and you knit this bit in 2.5 and the patterning bit in 2.5. So this bit in 2.25 and this in 2.5 to allow for the colour work, which I know people have said before and I always forget to do, but Zoe actually puts it in her pattern to remind you to change to 2.5. But they were such a nice fit that I'm going to use this pattern just as a vanilla sock and not do the bunting, and just make the sock again, because like I say, it's a lovely fit. So I'm looking forward to wearing those now I've finished them and shown them here. And I did say when I first started knitting them that there was a bit of red in this purple, but there isn't. But I still think it looks nice. So they're all my finished objects, and my one that I tend to be working on now is in this beautiful bag. I'll show you the right side with the English pattern piecing on from Davina from Little Workroom Crafts, and the whole pattern is totally inspired by her because I am knitting the Flax Light with my magic yarn ball, just as Davina did. She showed her Flax Light in one of her first episodes, if you want to go and take a look. And that's how far I've got so far. That's the neck, and then you come down and you start splitting for the sleeves where you've got the little garter section. Can't really see because it's quite busy. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's nice and simple to do, although I've already gone wrong because when you split for the sleeves I didn't count correctly. I think I was probably coming down with my cold. So I got about this far last, just before the weekend, and then I had to undo it all back to the ribbing and place the stitch markers correctly so that I can work on it. So that's nice. And this is all my 4-ply scraps and some of Davina's as well. She sent some to me, and they feel really quite scratchy after working with this baby yarn. It was so soft, and I think it is. It just feels like it is after that. So I will be working on that. It's really nice knitting with this ball because you don't know what's coming next. And if you buy a commercial yarn or even an indie dyed yarn, there seems to be a rhythm to the colours changing. But this, it's, well, obviously they've all been tied together, so it's all sorts. So I'm coming into pink, and then I've got some glitter in there. Not glitter, stellina I can see sparkling, but you can't see that. So I'm working on that. And for sewing, I've done a tiny bit of my cross stitch. Now I was asked to show my cross stitch, but I'm not a brilliant cross stitcher. My patterns and things are only very tiny. Now this one was a gift from a friend in work, and I'm keeping it in this tin that I got from the pound shop, and it had banana and shrimp sweets in, which have long gone, but I only bought it for the tin, so the sweets were a bonus. And my friend got me this little cross stitch for Christmas. Little Miss Chatterbox. I have no idea what she means. Why she got that for me, I don't know. And I have started on it. I do it in work in my lunchtime and I have got that far. So obviously I haven't done much yet. That's what she's going to look like. Oops, and that's how much I've done. And I've dropped my tin. So that's my only cross stitch I'm working on at the moment. Better pick that up. I'm always dropping needles and pins on the floor. I have got another cross stitch that I was doing the nag, and I've got to do the black back stitching, but I'll show you that again because I'm feeling a bit lazy really, to be honest, and I'm a bit all over the place. I haven't got any notes. I just thought I'd pop on quickly because I've finished several projects, and if I leave them, it gets a bit, there's too much going on, and I think, oh, I've got to do a podcast, I've got to show you all these things, and it gets a bit, oh gosh, I can't even think of the word, but a little bit too much, a bit pressured. So on to sewing. Now, I have been making a little project for Jodie for Christmas. Now, before you think I am way in advance and very organised, this was actually meant to be a project for last Christmas, and I didn't get around to doing it, so I can't show you that, but there is sewing involved, and I was inspired to make the project that I'm making that I can't show you by Eva from Coco and Flora podcast, because she put on Instagram a picture of one of her lovely project bags that she had made with scraps, fabric scraps, and it looks so nice, and I said I want to make something similar, and she said it's very easy to do once you get the hang of it. And I discovered that the technique she used was called Log Cabin, and I've had a little go with some of my scraps to make a log cabin square, and here it is, and it was so much fun. I haven't done any quilting or anything before. I've done one patchwork cushion where I just cut lots of squares and sewed them together because I didn't really have any idea how to do it, and I think there are easier ways than that, but I looked at a tutorial on YouTube on how to do this, and I don't know how to link things in my notes, but I will put in the notes who the tutorial was done by if you want to follow, if you want to look at it. It was a few years old now, but you get the gist of it. I did it the wrong way around because I did this, then this one, and then that one, but apparently all the tutorials seem to go that one, and then down to this one, and then, but it doesn't really matter because you're just going round and round to get them bigger and bigger. But it was so much fun, I love it. And there's the back where you have to iron it and press them all neatly in. I think it was just sewing the lines, and I did it yesterday and I wasn't feeling 100%. It was just something nice that you didn't really have to put much brain power into. So that is pretty much everything this week. I am going to, I think instead of doing a vlog at the end of every month. I'm going to try and do one every time I've got about a couple of, well, I've got 4 finished objects there, so every time I've got about that many, I might pop on and do a little video so that I don't have too big a build up of things when it comes to recording at the end of the month. So I hope you all have a nice few weeks until I speak to you again, and hopefully I will be fully recovered, and I hope none of you are suffering with the colds and germs that seem to be being passed around at the moment. Take care, and I shall see you all soon. Bye for now.